get your name and badge number for the record?
Let me ask you a question. As a man, what right do you have to stop another man?
Am I being detained? What's that? Am I being detained?
He's an Article 4 free inhabitant, so he does not have to have a license.
I do not consent.
I don't, like, they need to explain some of that stuff, because they're referencing shit that, like, no one references. Like, we've pulled something out of the annals.
Yeah,
and we're, like, spouting it at a traffic stop. Like, that's supposed to mean something to somebody.
I think the whole idea behind this whole shit that sovereign citizens do at traffic stops, I don't think it has to do with... I mean, some of them believe it wholeheartedly, but I don't think point is to give you a fact. I think the point is to say stuff really fast. Kind of like when somebody goes, yeah, I'm with the FBI, I'm agent such and such, can I see your credentials? And they flash their badge real quick, like they just flash their wallet. And it's like to distract you, so you're like off your game, like, wait, is it? Are you only a driver if you're commercial use or whatever? Like...
Well, any cop worth his salt is gonna know that, like, if you're like that on a traffic stop, like, okay, what are you up to? Like, it's like, oh, they use the confusion attack, and like they like the cop immediately amps up their game, and they're like, okay, like, this isn't standard anymore, like.
I'm gonna have to fucking.
I'll say this:
shit.
like, no traffic stop is ever standard. Like, that's not a thing. Like, there's like a routine traffic stop. Whenever any cop says anything is routine, that's bullshit. Because you walking into anywhere, like, you have to go through a scenario in your head to realize what is going on, and you can't by any means understand, like, I'm walking into like some other crazy nonsense over here. Of course it's going to act like this. No, it's not. You have no idea. It could be the most mundane, boring thing any day, but you got to walk in there being ready to shoot somebody because you don't know what's going to happen.
Let it be known, if you ever stop Jeff from End of a Species, it's going to be the most boring, mundane
yes, sir.
Traffic stop on the planet. I do not need your name and badge number. You can write it on the ticket if you give it to me, or... don't just give me a warning and let me go. But it's gonna be boring. I'm just gonna be like, here's my license, here's my insurance, here's my registration, and I'll go on my way. I'm way too Spanish to be spouting off the I do not consent, and me and tasers do not get along.
No.
So one of the things I've, like, one of my guilty pleasures is watching these sovereign citizen videos, because I just the conflict of it all, and the payoff.
Like going to the zoo.
Yeah, like, well, the payoff is
the
the glass on the window. Like, those are the best ones. It's like if you have a glass shattering and then a taser after that, that's like the pinnacle, right?
Yeah. That's what you're always hoping for. Is like, when, just smash it now.
What I've noticed is that you have your people who are like way on the other side of the looking glass, and there's nothing you can tell them. They believe that the government did something in 1873 or some shit that changed everything, and the paradigm is like now everybody's a corporate, some weird shit, right?
Everyone's a corporate entity.
Yeah.
And like you're not a person. Like, a person doesn't
But
count
then you
as
have
a corporation?
then you have your like lower level. I was about to say Padawan, but I don't think they deserve a title.
They don't deserve that. That's a sacred title.
Yeah, you can't.
You have to go through actual training for something like that.
Yeah,
like,
but you have your lower level, like, maybe they don't have $70-something to register their car, or maybe they got a few too many DUIs and now their license is suspended, and somebody comes up to them like the dude in Malcolm X that turned him Muslim and like, hey guy, don't you know there's some magic words that you can say to a police officer if you memorize this script right here? So that they give him a stop script. And like, I have one in front of me. I've seen so many where people use some of the same stuff, so I was like, let me do some research. And like, the stop script one of these that I see has a bunch of stuff. It's laughable to me because it has a bunch of stuff for people to fill out. And I just
like
picture,
you're taking a survey, but the cop's not taking a survey of you. You're taking a survey of the cop,
of the situation.
Like you're a secret shopper of some shit.
Well, some of these questions, it's almost like you're sitting in court right in the middle of the highway. And so it's like, well, number one, for the record, may I get your name and badge number, please? For the record, and just so anybody knows, for the record is not a thing when you're on the highway. Like, when you're having a conversation, unless you're talking to a journalist and then you're on the record. But like, oh, for the record, you don't have a stenographer with you. There's no record. Like, you can record, and then you don't really have to say for the record. It becomes redundant. But that's not a thing. That's stupid. And then, when they give you the name and badge number, my name is Jeff, badge number 123. Officer Jeff, badge number 123. Is there a recording being made of this encounter? How stupid does that sound? Like, you're going to have this whole interview. There's like, let me see. There are...
It was like 3 pages.
11, 14, 16 questions. And so picture on the side of 95 or Route 66 or whatever your local highway is, right? You got pulled over, and now this police officer has to take what is normally like a 5 to 10 minute thing.
I mean, if it's
do
for
a
a
fucking
legitimate
interview.
stop, yeah. I mean, if it's for a legitimate stop that of like, hey, you ran a stop sign, I'm gonna make sure your stuff's all right, and then you may or may not get a ticket. Like, maybe 10, 15 minutes. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've been
like
I'm
they
a,
got to run and make sure everything's valid.
I'm a
but,
big
like-
dude, and when I don't shave, I can easily get mistaken for a member of insert terrorist group over here. I'm super Spanish, right? But the longest stop I've ever had in my life that didn't involve like something serious, like an accident, like just a stop, like a routine, like a stop that I ran a whatever or was going too fast. Longest one was 15 minutes.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be more than that. If everything goes smoothly, yes sir, no sir, here's the stuff, thank you, goodbye, blah. Like, if you're getting a ticket, their name and numbers on the bottom of the ticket, and if you have an issue with them, go make a complaint at the front desk.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm looking at this script and like, I got groceries in the car. I ain't got time to read all this shit. Like, just give them your driver's
I got
license.
ice cream melting.
Like, I mean, really, it doesn't make sense. So there's stock scripts that people hand out to people
At the meetings,
And
wherever these meetings
I don't
happen.
want to say that people who do this are dumb. I don't think they're dumb. I think in a lot of cases they might be desperate because they got put in a situation either through their own dumb stuff like getting DUIs or not paying parking tickets or whatever, where now you can't drive. And
Of course, maybe they're just gullible.
it's possible.
They're looking for a fast exit to a problem that doesn't really exist.
Well, in this,
whatever.
in
like,
the past
what if I
20
told
years,
you didn't have to pay taxes? Like, yes, I hate paying taxes. Like, and then like, oh well, all you have to do is fill out this form and send it to this address in the middle of, Nantucket,
And you're golden.
And yeah, that's it. That's all you got to do. You don't have to pay taxes for the rest of your life.
the
And
magical
then- I mean, like-
nationality unicorns will take all your taxes away.
and I'm like, I don't know if that's the way that works.
Now, here's the thing. If you're gullible or if you're dumb, you kind of know that you're dumb. And if,
Do they?
I mean, you should. Somebody must have called you dumb at some point. And if
Well, you
want-
should have been informed.
yeah,
whether or
somebody
not
should have let you know. And
whether or not you believe it. That's another
I mean,
thing.
when you failed math or whatever, like there are signs out there that tell you maybe you're not. The intellect thing is not your bag. Maybe you're good at something else. Whatever. So
Maybe you can lift shit.
the idea that, hey, I came across this thing and everybody in the world doesn't know it. I'm
Yeah.
a part of 1,000 people that know that, everybody that stands in line in the DMV to renew their shit that takes hours and they grumble. You don't have to do that. You didn't know. I'm smarter than you guys.
and maybe that's the thing is like they feel like they found some secret code, but really they just haven't been caught yet. That's really all it is. Like if they're not paying their registration, then they're not paying their insurance, and they're not paying to get their license renewed, like you're on borrowed time. Like,
Yeah.
you just got to get caught like one time, and then like someone's gonna take your stuff.
You know what I've noticed is that a lot of these sovereign citizens, when you watch the video, they have one phone where they're recording the cop. And they've got a second phone
recording the cop.
where they're calling somebody who's their sovereign citizen coach or whatever. They refer to them as counsel.
The
But
clan leader.
99 times out of 100, this motherfucker's not a lawyer. They're just saying, oh, don't open the door. And what about what they break the glass? Well, tell them under duress. Like, that's something. Like, under duress. I'm under threat, duress, and coercion. That's another one. I'm going to do this. These are not things you should really, like, if you want to know about this, like, what to do in a traffic stop, just talk, or what your rights are, just talk to a lawyer. A lot of them will give you, like, a free consultation, and they'll tell you, yes, this is a thing, and no, this isn't a thing. Mm-hmm. And if this happens, then this is what you can do, and these are your options. And if the police tell you to get out of the car, this is what you do, which 99 times out of 100 is get the fuck out the car. Yeah. Like, that's it.
The side of the road is not the place to make a complaint.
Yeah. So the side of the road is not where you're pleading your case.
It's not a courtroom.
It's not the time to show somebody like you have a law, right? Police officers are trained in the aspects of the law that they need to do their jobs, but they are not lawyers. So if you show them some obscure law that nobody saw, or some weird Supreme Court case that somebody cherry-picked a half a paragraph out of and use that to say, well, I'm not driving commercially, so...
Well, they'll take... And a lot of what I've seen in some of these like documents and stuff that you've shown me is that it's a word or a phrase that like somebody liked the sound of, and they're like, oh, and then they just extrapolate on that into like the infinite degree of what it means. And it's like, well, I'm not a corporation, I'm a freestanding citizen of the planet Earth and whatever, and like you don't have the right to stop me because I qualified myself as a this or with that, or... And I'm like, that's not a thing. That's not how society, which society is a group of, terms and conditions and laws that a group of people have agreed to live and abide by, which, like, if you don't want to do that, then you need to find a new place to hang out. Like,
yeah, and
like that just happens to be like the United States of America in our case. This is the society that we live in. You don't like it, I mean, you probably have to find a patch of ice up there in northern Canada or something.
When you
claim yourself as Inuit, and then chances are you're not going to get traffic stopped anymore.
Well, when you say government by consent of the governed, that's plural, right? It's not government by consent of Jeff. Like, I have not consented to this. There's a society, and there are people. And a majority of those people, or a vast majority of those people, have agreed to say, hey, if every single person in the United States woke up tomorrow and said, I don't want to be, this doesn't work for me, mm-hmm. and they just decided this isn't what we're doing, then it would change. But clearly...
Because, well, we have a system in place to change that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but clearly that has not happened. So what you're doing is really, like, going against that, in a way.
And and then we have the whole thing of like, because you said what was the Articles of Confederation is where they pull a lot.
Yeah, so stuff. in the last clip in the intro, they there's some girl mentioning an Article 4 free inhabitant, and an Article 4 Article 4 of the Articles of Confederation, which came out before the Constitution did. And that's where it mentions free inhabitants. And for context, it says that the free inhabitants of this state can go to another state and still have the same rights and responsibilities in that state as they did in the other states. And that's just so that all the states in the Union at that time were, and they still do, they have, like, I have a driver's license in the state where I reside. Uh-huh. And if I wanted to drive to another state and drive there, and they pull me over, I can show them my driver's license to my home state, and they'll be like, I recognize that as a valid driver's license.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
I don't have to go to Ohio and then California and then New York and have 3 different driver's licenses. That's fine.
Which which is an interesting way of looking at it, but I don't. A free inhabitant. I don't know like where they're trying to pull this information, like, because that's we've since moved past that, and like, yeah, you have all the rights and responsibilities from this one, but like when the Articles of Federation, we didn't have cars.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Like that didn't like. Yeah, you have a license to like conduct business. Like I have a business license in New York. I am now in Georgia, and this is my. I want to conduct business here, and they're like, oh, okay. Well, if you can conduct X amount of business here, but like if you want, you have to set up another business down here, so like we can tax you properly, and so on and so forth. But like you don't have a right, like you have a right to travel. Like, yeah, so I can start hoofing it. One foot in front of the other. Start with the left. That's my recommended foot to start with. But like a car is a weapon. Like like it's not like
you're steering
walking away. Like your steering ability, your ability to navigate like at high speeds. Like it's the same thing. It goes to guns, and I don't like. We'll get more shit about guns. I'm sure we'll get. Someone's gonna write a letter, but like when they like write to bear arms, like yeah, like they didn't understand like AR-15s and cannons and stuff like we do now. Like, oh yeah, we can puncture a side of a battleship with some of our stuff, but like they were like bang, powder, shot, wad. Pack it down, light the fuse, bang. Like, you know, you're talking about a shot every minute and a half as opposed to like, you know, 300 rounds in a minute, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and that's a different thing, but like a car is like what would you like, I haven't done any research on this. What would you guess the high speed of a wagon, you know, a horse and buggy would be back around like
not a buck
1786. Like
I don't think
30 miles an hour.
Yeah,
maybe?
I don't think it could rock 70. Anybody who played Oregon Trail knows that took a month to get from this state to that state.
Yeah.
And so yeah, no. But in addition to that, and the Oregon Trail, that wasn't even like 1776.
That was mid 1800s.
Yeah, that was like
we're 100 years
now
past
we've
that.
had some technology that improved the way that we get from state to state, and even that took forever. But every right that you have kind of stops when it affects me. And if you're doing 100 on the highway, you're kind of affecting me. I'm
sitting at a stoplight.
Yeah,
you know.
you're affecting me. And if you are, you know, driving an unregistered vehicle. And
with no insurance.
With no insurance. And you get in an accident with me, you're affecting me. Because you could just leave.
And now I'm maimed, and you've got no way to pay for it because it's your fault.
And I don't even know it was you. Because you could just get up and walk away. And whose car is this? I don't know.
Of a free agent of Article 4. Of,
some free inhabitant hit me. Jethro of the clan Jehovahwitz or whatever. Fucking, like, no. And really, when we do these sovereign citizen episodes, which we're going to do a lot of these in as many as we can in season 1, but when we do this, we're not trying to convert people who are on the other side of the looking glass. You guys are lost. I get it. You think that you are.
This is not a redemption show.
You're probably not ahead, like say beyond the law, but you understand it better than I do. Great. We'll see how that works for you. That's fine. This is more for those people that are listening to this and are like, $75 on my birthday to register my car, or $75 or $20-something to renew my driver's license, or whatever it is. A couple $100 a year. And if you're in a state that does like emissions inspections and I got to inspect my car, I don't got time for that. Do not listen to the people who tell you that you do not need a driver's license.
Or you do not need to register your car.
Or that you don't need to register or whatever.
Or that you don't need to do that because there's, you know, a special subtext or subgroup of culture that says that this is not a necessary thing for you to do. No, it's registration and stuff keeps the roads clean and like running so that like you're not going down a cobblestone highway. Like you're not, like, oh, like, yeah, my car's got to drive over tree roots and stuff. I didn't buy a Jeep Durango. Like I can't navigate that. I bought a Prius. Like
Now, if you do think that it's too expensive to register your car, or you think that it's ridiculous that you have to have a driver's license and have to show competency in driving a vehicle prior to, or you think that the law is written in a certain way that shows that you should be a UPS driver or a Lyft driver in order to have a driver's license, there's a simple way to test that. If you want to make it, if you think the system is one way and it should be another way, get your feet on the ground, go door to door and get petitions signed, go talk to your local congressman or council person or whatever, and get that changed. Now, if you think that the way the law is written, you could do whatever you want right now, go to court. Yeah. Put that in front of a judge. Test it. That's how it works. So, and if you're right, if you're 100% right, then hey, you just saved everybody $200 a year. But what's going to happen is, it's like if somebody said, like I saw an interview yesterday where somebody said that corporations can't own anything. So if they walked into Walmart and they took a TV and they just walked out with it, Walmart can't do anything about it because they can't own anything. They don't own the TV, so they can't file a claim on you. And I'm like, yeah, that's good in theory. I would love to get a free HD TV. I would love to get free games. Fuck GameStop. I would love to get, free audio equipment. Like, think about all the equipment that we have in the studio, right?
Yeah. Microphones. You've already replaced like 2 microphones since we started this shit.
Yeah. So like, if I was to just walk in and steal something, because that's what it is, it's stealing.
Well, I mean, that is what it is, but they wouldn't call it that. You're just acquiring something. Then it's a corporate building.
Laying claim to this property.
Yeah. The
person
you're a fucking Jawa is what you're doing.
Yeah. The motherfucker over there that got the gun and the badge, he don't know that.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to work when I say to him, hey, but you don't understand, while he's putting me in cuffs? Walmart can't own anything. Haha, it's a loophole, see? If you just let me go to my car, I have paperwork here that proves it. That's not gonna fly.
No.
When you go to court, if you get a lawyer and you tell him that or her that, they're gonna tell you, please don't make me argue this. I can't argue this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
If you defend yourself, like a lot of sovereign citizens do, and you try to say, well, you don't understand. In 1843, there's this paragraph in a thing. The judge is going to tell you that you're going to jail. So, like, yeah, that's not... I mean, going back to traffic stops, if you're in a traffic stop, do not use any of these stop scripts. If somebody offers you one, or if you see a website that's telling you, hey, use this stop script, know that it won't work. It's not a thing.
It's a good way to get tased, probably.
Yeah, if you're especially aggressive, you may get tased. Taser is the new shoot people. We can go down at some point we can go into police culture and non-lethal versus lethal responses and what they mean. But like it's not going to go well for you. That's just my PSA on that. What do you want to do when you get pulled over?
What do you want to do?
Let's say you were driving and your license was suspended a month ago, but you really had to go get medicine or pick up a prescription for your kid or something.
Yeah. And
you're driving to CVS and
because your license is suspended, you don't realize you're supposed to stop at a stop sign and you run through it.
and you see the lights behind you. What do?
Well, you stop the car.
Okay.
And that seems like an appropriate thing because that's what the lights are there to elicit a response, and the response that they're looking for is that you pull over to the side of the road.
Yeah. Pull over and stop.
Pull over and stop. I would say roll all of your windows down. So front and back, so that way they can look
Especially if
into the
you
car.
got tinted windows.
If you
Here's
got
the funny
tinted-
thing about people with tinted windows that are sovereign citizens. The tinted window is evidence. Like the fact that if you roll your window down, they now can't see that your window's tinted, and it's one less ticket that you might get if they haven't seen that it's tinted already.
If it's tinted to the point where it's, past the legal limit or whatever, depending on what it is in your state, so on and so forth. But roll all your windows down. That makes it plain that you don't have anything to hide. Like, hey, look, in all of this, there's all these seats and space and whatever. Like, I'm not hiding any people.
There's no Jawas in here. These
no
aren't the droids you're looking for.
Hands on the wheel, like depending on state, there's different things on different states, but like some people, some cops like you to turn your vehicle off, put the keys on the dash, and then put your hands on the wheel.
Okay.
That's a thing. I think that's a thing in LA.
Okay.
I remember. But then you don't make any movements until the cop tells you to do so. It's an easy kind of thing. Hey, license, registration, proof of insurance. And they're like, yes, my license is in my wallet, which is in my back pocket, and then my registration and insurance is in the glove box. Can I move to go get those? Those are the appropriate questions that you can ask a cop. And then he'll say, yes, you can make a movement to go get that. So that way you're not like moving real fast. And then you're making all these sudden movements, and now he's got to keep track. And he's like, why is he moving so fast? It's like, is he looking for a gun? Like, does he have a warrant that I'm trying to,
Overall, I think what I'm getting from that is understand and accept the fact that
do what your parents would have told you to do.
well, accept the fact that for those 10, 15 minutes, you are not in control of the situation.
Yeah.
It's not your spot to be pontificating or, talking about how, like, if you have a police officer that's rude or mean or whatever, we said this in the last episode, you have a forum for that. You can make a complaint. You can
court, front desk.
all of that.
They have like every police department somewhere has an internal affairs kind of thing. Like depending on the size of it, like if it's Mayberry, like it might be one guy, and he might have the guy that's in charge of that is also in charge of like records and
something else.
Yeah, like 5 other things. Because they only have like 4 cops, but like they've all got some sort of system to make a complaint like that. So, like, make a complaint through the formal, proper channels. Because, like, getting, into a heated thing right then and there on the side of the road, it's bad for everyone.
Yeah, it's not going to get you the result that you want. I suspect
I have yet to see one of those videos where the person just drives away.
I've seen some of those.
They give you all this paperwork, and they explain their point. They have no license, they have no nothing, and then it's like, okay, well, it makes sense. Have a nice day. Like, I've never seen that.
No, on the merits, it never happens. The only time I've ever seen that happen is if eventually the sovereign citizen acquiesces and gives up their first name, last name, and date of birth, and you can find a license for them, right? Or they go, okay, under threat and duress, I'm going to give you my driver's license.
And then they have a license.
Yeah, then they have a license.
They have a legitimate license. Then why are you being an asshole?
It's
What's the
in a lot of
point?
cases, it's the ones that have a license, and it's because they've gone over to the other side of the look. They're through the rabbit hole. They drank the potion that makes you smaller, and they are looking at the Cheshire Cat, talking about, this is bullshit. I shouldn't have this license. They legitimately think that, they have a driver's license, and they legitimately believe that the only time they need to have that driver's license is if they find somebody on the side of the road and that person is paying them in gold and silver backed currency, not Federal Reserve notes, to take them from point A to point B. But when they're out, quote unquote, traveling, that they should not be providing that. So that's why they say it's under duress. But
well, there's a difference, because there's a thing in most states where there's like a driver's license and then there's a chauffeur's license.
Yeah,
and they carry the same like class, but you have to do some extra shit for getting the chauffeur tag on it.
And you know what's funny is that there is a CDL. There is such a thing as a commercial driver's license.
Yeah.
So if my regular driver's license
Doesn't
is
qualify
for commercial only, then why do I also have a commercial driver's license?
Yeah.
Is it for special commercial, special edition, EX? It doesn't. The actual arguments do not make sense. It's like you know what it's like? It's like the car where they shot Marvin in Pulp Fiction after it gets all the stuff. Like from far away, like if somebody tells it to you, like, oh, you know what? That does make sense.
Yeah.
But if you take a few steps close and you look at the actual argument, it makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
That there
this is covered in brain matter.
Like even if you look at it like, hey, the legislature wrote laws and they are so like this group of lawyers and lawyers and the lawyers that have lawyers are so ignorant of how they're writing their law that they wrote loopholes in for people to not have driver's licenses, that they don't have to have driver's licenses.
Yeah.
And then they all went and got driver's licenses. Like it boggles the mind. And you know what? One of the things lately I've seen is a lot of channels, and God bless you all, that they have the patience to call some of these sovereign citizens, like the more high profile ones, and have debates with them. It's like
I
when
don't have the time or patience for that.
And some of these debates last hours. Like I can't listen to the whole thing because as soon as you get into the no, but you don't understand, they don't want you to know it, so they didn't write it down. Then it's like,
well, if it's not written down, then how does anyone know any of it?
But the thing becomes it goes off the rails fast. But they keep talking like I'm doing good. Like,
yeah.
I'm really sticking it to him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't do it. Some of the people that do these debates are actual lawyers, so their knowledge of the subject matter.
So they just enjoy arguing anyway.
Yeah, they're really good at it. So their knowledge of the subject matter dwarfs mine every single day. But I mean, from what I understand, lawyers are pretty expensive. So an hour of a lawyer's time sitting talking to somebody who has no idea what they're talking about. It's like when Bill Nye did the debate with the creationist guy. Like some of the people who do this, like if you're a lawyer and you do this every single day, you know what the judge is gonna say. It's very, very rarely in a traffic stop are there's if you get a lawyer, that lawyer knows what's going to happen before it happens.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of complexity to a traffic stop, right?
No,
to a traffic ticket. They're gonna say, okay, if you say this, they're gonna reduce the fine. You're gonna end up paying $26.43, and court cost is $2 today, and blah blah blah. So
well, I've seen that a number of times. Is like a lawyer will go and talk to a cop, like when the guy who got a ticket wants to fight it. The lawyer will go and talk to the cop. Is like, hey, if you drop points and reduce it from like 10 over to a 5 over, like, can we do that? And then the cop, usually he's getting paid overtime to be there anyway. He doesn't give a crap. Like, he says, all right, whatever. So the lawyer asks the cop that. Then, like, his ticket is called to order for the judge. The judge says, like, hey, how do you plead? The guy goes nolo contendere or whatever. Then the lawyer says, hey, we're acknowledging that we're guilty of speeding. We just want to, like, have these terms and we'll have it dismissed. And then they usually ask the cop, hey, is this okay? The cop's like, whatever. And then they go back.
I don't contendere either.
And then you go back to the guy, and they're like, all right, pay the fine, and then, like, you won't get points, and, you know...
get the hell out of my courtroom.
And it's reduced from 10 over to 5 over. And then, yeah, get out of the court. Like, we've all got shit to do. Like, your screw-up is requiring me to be here right now.
I've got to see 50 of you today.
Yeah.
You know...
I got to see 50 of you before lunch.
Long time ago, I had to go to court for... a pretty hefty traffic ticket, and I was in the hopper room where all the you're all waiting for to give out your pound of flesh. And there was this girl that went up, and I don't know if she was a sovereign citizen or not, but she had like a DUI plus a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. It's usually I got a DUI because I also hit 5 cars and then also the side of this building.
And so, and this girl, like this, I remember like it was yesterday, and it was probably like 20 years ago. She goes up to the judge, and the judge is asking her financial questions. And she's a younger girl, so he's asking her about her parents' financial questions. And so she doesn't want to answer any questions about finances. And she goes, I don't want to get my parents involved in this. And he goes, well, we're past that. Well, we kind of have to, because I need to know if you can afford a lawyer.
You're 19 and like you're looking at jail time. Like,
well, this is how it went down. So he goes, I need to know if you can afford a lawyer. She goes, well, I can't let my parents know about this. And his response was epic. It was, well, they'll probably find out when you've been missing for a year. And a chill went up my spine. I was like, when I go up there, I'm gonna be like,
yes, sir.
And
no, sir.
My ticket was speeding. It wasn't like I didn't have any jail time attached. It was like I was hefty speeding. I think I ended up paying like $300 or something.
Shit.
So it was I was booking it.
Yeah.
But I don't have as much of a lead foot now. But when I was there, I was just like, yo, for being behind the wheel, like that's what can happen. And so to bring that to sovereign citizen stuff, that's what you're playing with.
Yeah.
That level of seriousness is what you're playing with. That's why it's not because it's a terror state or it's because some sort of weird, like your freedoms are. Anytime you get behind the wheel of a car, you could end my life. You could end, somebody could end your life, right? So you could
end multiple lives. You could end a family of 5.
Yeah.
You could wipe out an entire generation right there.
Straight up, no more Smiths for in that town.
Yeah.
And that's where it ends, right?
Yep. And
so like you have to think about that and think, what does society want to do to prevent that? To make that a deterrent.
Hey, maybe you have to get a license that gets renewed every 5 or 6 years. Maybe make sure your car has the correct emissions and that you're paying to keep it on the road. Maybe have insurance in case, you get a text message from somebody and like you stop paying attention when you ran into the back of a school bus. Like some money to cover some stuff when you fuck something up.
And if you can't do any of that, we're in 2019. That same phone that you're using to record the cop, download the Uber app, download the Lyft app, get really good at Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever the fuck they have in your neighborhood, and use that until you're able to fulfill the responsibilities of getting behind the wheel of a car.
Driving a car is a privilege. It's not a right.
Correct. And like not for nothing.
You have the right to an attorney, but you don't have a right to drive.
Yeah. And not for nothing, but it's so cheap to get a license here. I've worked with people in Ireland, and a lot of them do not have people my age that are like, yeah, I'm going to get my driver's test next month because something at work I have to drive and never had a license before. And then they tell me other countries, some of the requirements to get a license is insane. And the driver's test is not like, do a 3-point turn, parallel park, here's your license. Yeah. It's get on the highway, change lanes, get behind that. Like, they're driving. Like, they're literally, it's a skills test.
Keep a consistent speed for 30 minutes.
Yeah, like, like you're driving. So it's not that bad.
Also, as a thing, like, knowing some stuff about Ireland and how their driving is, they have so many accidents. Their insurance over there is insane.
Is it?
Oh my God. Like, first off, to rent a car is like $500 to $600 for a couple of days.
Oh my God.
And like insurance for that is also like $700 or $800. Like, for a couple of days for rental insurance. like they've like talking to people at the counter are like, oh yeah, people have accidents here all the time. Having a car is extremely expensive, just because getting anywhere and doing anything, like, people don't pay attention when they're driving. Like, also, you've got all these like old trucks and stuff on these country roads that go along like stone, sheep fences and stuff, and like you might have enough space for two cars to pass side by side, but might not. You're taking a dice roll for that.
That sounds a lot like Dominican Republic, where there's some places where you have like winding mountain roads. It's one lane, one way, one lane the other way, and you're doing 80, and people are going over the double yellow and just passing each other. It's almost like a dance.
Yeah,
but the reason that it's expensive is because it's supposed to be. I mean, does it suck? Yeah, absolutely. I would love it if it was, cheaper for everybody. But until such time as we all have like flying DeLoreans that get handed out at like vending machines that drive themselves, and there's zero incidents of an accident, there's something has to mitigate it. And you can, if you put it to any kind of critical thought, the legislature has thought of it and they've codified it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've noticed with a lot of sovereign citizens is their actual understanding of the law. I'm not a lawyer, but I know enough law to keep myself out of trouble.
Yeah.
And so, I remember a lot of what I learned in school, that they teach you that.
Well, there's a lot of easy recommended stuff. There's a a writer called Robert Fulghum. He's like, everything I needed to know about life I learned in kindergarten. It's a great little book. But like, it's easy stuff. Don't take what's not yours. Don't hit people. Like, clean up after yourself. They're basic little things. Look both ways before you cross the street. Like,
but if you go into civics, like if you go into the civics of it, they'll say that statutes, for example, statutory things are not law when they are, right? Or codes, which are things that an organization puts together, but they're enforceable because the legislature gave that organization the right to create that code. Like the FCC has codes, like the FDA has a whole bunch of regulation that they do. Those are law. They're considered enforceable law. And it's not like, because and then they have a thing where they don't understand things like common law. They think that common law is just, murder and stealing, and no, those are commandments. Common law, for anybody who doesn't you can Wikipedia it if you want, but common law just means that there are unwritten laws that are created when a judge says this is a thing, and they bang down the gavel, and now that's considered case law. It's considered a law that we follow because we are looking at the precedent. And the United States is a mixed jurisdictional, so like we have common law and we have statutory law. And no, you cannot opt out of one or the other. If you say the magic words at the DMV and give them your license, hominiski, whatever. No. So the understanding of the law is minimal at best. It's a lot of made up shit, and if they get called on it, they'll tell you. Like, there's a clip, I wish I would have found it and used it, where there's a guy telling a cop that he knows the law, he teaches it. And the cop goes, "Oh, you went to law school?" And this guy goes, like, "You don't need to go to law school to get a law degree." That's why I don't talk to the people on the other side of the looking glass, because how do you argue with that?
Yeah.
There's no arguing with that. That's you're gone. It's over. You're going to get cuffed and tased and like put in jail for the rest of your life. And it's, if you really think, he goes on to say that you don't need to go to med school to get a medical degree. I'm not letting you operate on me, bro. Like, I don't care how easy an operation it is. I don't care if it's the appendicitis shit from Life and Death. It's not happening. Yeah. So like, the knowledge there is lacking, but the willful ignorance, and it's like I'm oblivious to the fact that I don't know shit, and I'm not humble enough to say like, well, maybe I don't know the law. Like the stuff that dude wrote on that Word document, maybe that's not a full law degree.
Yeah.
And those,
I can make a law degree in PowerPoint in about 20 minutes.
like when people say, "Oh, that's a Supreme Court decision," Supreme Court decisions are like pages long. They come in.
Oh, yeah.
They're bound together.
It's not a
There's
paragraph.
a lot of text in there.
Yeah, it's not a book.
And
it's
they'll
it's
take
a book.
one paragraph and be like, "This is not out of context. This is the decision." The idea that I know the law because I read 5 paragraphs on the law once. It's stupid. It's borderline, like, I don't even want to say
It's
it.
borderline idiocy.
Yeah.
It's borderline. You need a helmet to exist.
But
Like,
in addition to that, you're also bringing other innocent people into it who are falling for it for whatever reason and for various reasons, and
I think that's called a cult.
and ruining their own lives, right?
Yeah.
At some point, I want to tackle the sovereign citizens that quote unquote claim or repossess property and eventually get evicted, or they rent this place and they know all the paperwork to stay there until such a day as they get evicted. But they're like, no, there are people who, they call themselves Moorish Americans. I don't want to go too far down the Moorish American rabbit hole because it'll drive you nuts. Or they're free men on the land.
The Moorish American thing is like Illuminati level nonsense. Like,
but here's the thing:
but-
you said cult, and you said Illuminati, but it's so loose. Like none of them know each other. It's really crazy.
It's like mass hysteria.
Like they don't know, they literally don't. Like you have this group over here, and this group and they're all saying the same stuff. But there's like maybe 2 or 3 people in the country that are like up there that they're famous because they make the most noise or they have the most hits on their YouTube videos. But overall, like more over here and more over there, a free man on the land over here, they don't know each other. There's not a group. Like they don't have meetings.
I always want, like, when we get into some of these things, I always wonder what these people, they don't have licenses, they don't have valid registrations of their cars. What do these people do for money? Like, money still has to be a thing, right? They have to use money for stuff. Like, do they not believe that money is the correct form of exchange for goods and services?
So there's a couple of channels. One particularly good one.
They've got to be dirt farmers in the middle of fuck nowhere.
It's actually worse than that. There's a particularly good one called Virgo Triad.
That's a channel?
That's a channel, yeah,
Okay.
on YouTube, and they actually find a lot of the sovereign citizens and look up their cases and say, hey, this is the case for this person and this is the case for that person. I'm not going to say any of these people's names because I don't want to give them any attention. But Virgo Triad does a lot of good research. And a lot of them are, ironically, on the government dole. So they get food stamps. They get they get government assistance from the government that doesn't have any authority over them. So that's ironic. It's actually kind of funny. But that it just is what it is. Like
They're gypsies.
They just know it. This is what makes me believe that they're not as ignorant as they come off. They know a good chunk of them know what they're saying is BS. They know that it's not real stuff. But they know the words to say and the order in which to say them to make it seem like it's legit to the people around them. And when it comes to their own, like, there are a lot of sovereign citizen lead like I sell books people that pay taxes, have driver's licenses, but they know if I say these words to these people,
they'll pay me money.
They'll pay me money, and they'll get a packet
over here.
Like there are groups that sell quote unquote nationality cards for $50 to $100 a pop.
$100 for a fake license?
Yep,
that means nothing.
And the ironic thing is, it costs more than an actual license. Yep.
You know, because I had like this is way back in the day, but like I had like a little board game that was the Jurassic Park board game when Jurassic Park first came out, and all of the all of the pieces were modeled after the characters, but they were little just pieces of cardboard. But like also like part of the game was like you had to get your ID card, you know, in the game somewhere, so you could make access to the visitor center and win the game. And like the ID card had a picture and it had a logo and like an ID number for that particular character. And like I thought they were fun, so I started drawing some out for like my friends and whatever, like for us to have like our own like ID cards and colored them and whatever. It's probably about the same legal use of those.
You're probably your cards were probably a little more like these don't have pictures on them.
They don't have I drew pictures of my
like
friends and stuff on them.
Offline, I'll show you. Yeah. You know, after the show, I'll show you some of these that. Like what the card is, and you just, I mean, they have a spot for you to write your name like it's a diploma.
But mine had pictures, so they were at least more, they were probably more legally tenderable than
and they do the same thing with driver's licenses.
I could have charged $100 a pop for those in 4th grade.
Yeah.
Jesus.
We wouldn't be having this conversation right now. But they do the same thing with driver's licenses. Like they'll order a vanity plate from not the state, like just one of these places that creates a license plate that you could put on your wall, and they'll put that, and on it it'll say do not detain, do not arrest. There's a particularly
I've seen a number of them. It says not stolen.
I am not the drug czar.
Yeah.
But like it's funny because I mean there's a particularly if you follow this stuff, there's a particularly infamous sovereign citizen that was pulled over, I want to say like 7 or 8 years ago. And he told the cops that he referred to himself as a private attorney general. And he told the cops that this is it.
It's a great term.
You're not allowed
private attorney general.
But you're not allowed to stop him or detain him or arrest him unless he has broken a law.
Unless he has broken a law.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the terms of the private attorney general. It also happens to be the terms of being Jeff every day. Like, you're not allowed to arrest me unless I've broken a... Like, the cop looked at him confused. Like, isn't that everybody?
Yeah.
No, but some people... And then went off into the mumbo-jumbo. But this is the level of thought. So if you're listening to this podcast and you are considering... Like, you're on the brink and you're considering using sovereign citizen language on your next traffic stop, just get a friend to give you a ride.
Just pay your bills. Mm-hmm. Pay your bills. I get a reminder. It's like, hey, your registration's due like 3 weeks ahead of time. Like
one of those phones that you're about to use to record the cops. And don't get me wrong, record the cops. Like if you have a traffic stop and you get a dash cam, pull out a camera and just be like, hey, you're recording, I'm recording. But be cordial. Give them your driver's license. Give them your insurance. Mm-hmm. Give them whatever they ask for. They're going to give you whatever. Most cops do not, in my experience, they don't care if they're being recorded at a traffic stop.
No.
It's something they do 1,000 times a month.
Since body cameras became a thing, they just had to get used to it. It's like, like you tell them that you're being recorded. And I'm like, yeah, and you're being recorded. So
we're all being recorded.
We're all being recorded. There's traffic lights and all kinds of stuff that cameras on it. We're all being recorded. Everyone's recorded. I don't know where they put all this camera footage because like everybody's recording everybody. Like if aliens come after the human race has been decimated, they're gonna look at all this stuff. It's like, why did they like looking at each other all the time?
But here's another thing on
these mundane things that they keep recording people doing.
One of the crazy things is that on the funny side of it is when you see sovereign citizen videos, especially the ones where you get the full stuff. Monty.
Yeah. The taser, the busted window.
Dragging out. Taser, screaming, I do not consent, all of that. You're seeing it from the point of view of the phone of the sovereign citizen.
Yeah.
So this person now actually, after they got arrested, and they maybe got out on bond or ROR'd or whatever, they then said, I know, I'm going to post this video.
I'll get the public behind me.
Because it makes me look smart. And even if you go to a person's channel and you look at the comment section, most of it is, I just came here to watch you get tased. Because I think it's funny.
And most of those videos also, like, the cop, once he realizes what kind of the middle of the kind of shit that he's in, he's like, I was supposed to go home in 20 minutes. Like, you can't see a more bored and irritated look on a cop's face than when they run up to one of these fuckers. It's beyond an eye roll. It's just a whole posture change, because usually they're very, broad-shouldered, straight backed, whatever, and they talk to you, and then when they get like 2 or 3 exchanges back and forth and they realize what they're in, the shoulders slump down, the eyes roll back.
I've seen that too.
The eyes roll back, they sigh heavily. They're just like,
I always think that's like,
this is gonna be the rest of my night.
Yeah. I always think that's one of those shift-defining moments, like, oh crap, I was supposed to have dinner, and now I got to deal with this.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I do want to set a challenge out to our listeners, because in researching for this season and doing a lot of Sovereign Citizen stuff, I feel like I've scraped the bottom of the barrel in Sovereign Citizen videos. So, like, I've looked at a lot of the main channels. If you guys out there have some videos or like channels that, I'll list like Degeneration Nation and Vilified Freedom or Vilified Liberty. I don't know, but most of the major ones I've like completely emptied them out. Like, I just play them in the background so I can hear the screams of the willful ignorant in the background of my normal day. But yeah, in the comments, shoot me any videos that you might have that,
or direct messages,
or send us a message that has stuff that you might think that I want to look at. If you are a Sovereign Citizen and you want to send me something to convince me of your stuff, just don't, because my delete button works really well, and I have no problem like just trashing your messages. I mean, you can leave a comment, but I'm not going to delete it. I'm probably not even going to read it. But yeah, I'm interested in more material for me to peruse, just because I like watching it, at least for this season.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm always down to. I've watched a few of these. They're entertaining me, but like, I won't deep dive like you will. Like, I'll watch it and I'm like, all right, yeah.
The one thing I no longer do is I don't watch them beginning to end anymore. I get the gist of what the beginning is. Mm-hmm. I skip ahead because it's a lot of repeating the same stuff over and over, and I get to the part where the window cracks, like before. It's like how some people watch boxing. Like, they watch the boxing from last night. They'll see the first round and then they skip ahead to where the dude is flat on his back, but then they rewind a little. Yeah, just want to see the punch that connected. That's me.
Yeah, because like I'll watch them and then I get a headache when I listen to just unending spews of ignorance.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I get these like mild like tinges of headache, and it makes it difficult to sit through like hours of that stuff. So,
agreed.
But like I'll peruse, I'll tourist it. I'll be a willful free agent or whatever, free wanderer, whatever they call it.
A lurker. I think that's the internet term, is a lurker.
A lurker.
I'm a lurker on a lot of stuff.
That sounds more devious than I want it to sound.
Well, it's not like a stalker, but just in the background.
It's also a Zerg thing in StarCraft.
Nice. Maybe we'll do a StarCraft episode.
Maybe.
Who knows? But on that note, I think that's all we have for this episode.
I'm Adam.
I am Jeff. Leave us comments. Let us know what's up.
Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and get notifications.
And we will see you on our next show.